Graham. This is the big interview, and today we welcome our second ever World Cup winner onto this series. Osvaldo Ardiles, Ozzy the Great, as I like to call him, was our first, and Rainer Bonhof is our guest this time. And Rainer picked up the famous trophy in 1974, that famous trophy in its very first inauguration with West Germany, 4 years before our legendary Argentinian friend. Bonhof, if you only know the name and you're not lucky enough to have seen him play, was an absolutely beautiful midfielder who made his international breakthrough at the 74 World Cup and became West Germany's youngest world champion at the time, scoring against Sweden mid-tournament in a crucial match, but then assisting both the winner in the semi-final and Gerd Müller's 2-1 goal in the final against Johan Cruyff's Netherlands. We're going to hear the story of that tournament, but also tales about big personalities from that team and the absolutely great Borussia Mönchengladbach side of the 70s that he was part of, including Berti, Vogts, Günter, Netzer and more. A side I first heard of when they came to Pittodrie to play Aberdeen in the UEFA Cup. Across two ties, I think Aberdeen scored 5 times against Borussia Mönchengladbach and went out. How about that? If that 70s spell when Borussia Mönchengladbach were nearly as dominant, nearly as ferocious, nearly as good to watch as Bayern Munich ever were, if that was your era, you're going to absolutely love this interview. If it's not, if you weren't born at the time, you'll still adore it. Because Bonhof speaks brilliantly, passionately, with wit as well. He'll make you smile, and you'll learn a lot about world football history along the way. As I pointed out, this is the second time we've had a guest on the big interview who's lifted the World Cup. Ardiles was the first, and Ozzy's majestic. If you haven't listened to that episode, go back. There's far less swearing in it than when Ozzy and I normally get together. In fact, Ozzy is the only person I've ever met who can genuinely outswear me. But back to Rainer. Rainer became a German legend in 1974, internationally at least, because he helped win West Germany the World Cup on their own soil. You know, across this interview, he talks about what it was like having a particular boss like Helmut Schön, the tests of having to play against East Germany and lose. But the thing I liked best was, this was a man who can literally explain to us what it feels like to get your hands on the World Cup trophy. Rainer talks brilliantly about what it was like to win, what he felt like afterwards, where he went, and what he and his dad and his mum chatted about. Rainer also explains a little bit about his time as the Scotland under-21 coach, where he helped foster a new generation of exceptional talent, including Sean Maloney and Darren Fletcher, not only two guests previously on this big interview series, but guys that we count as friends. Sean is now assistant coach of FIFA's number 1 ranked team Belgium. Fletch is technical director at Manchester United, and not before time. This is a special guest. This was a tremendously fun guest. Thanks to Martin and Greg for putting the two of us together. So, in summary, I think I've made my point. This is the big interview. I'm Graham Hunter, and I'm speaking to Rainer Bonhof. Big interview fans, we have a special treat for you today because we have spoken to 1 or 2 World Cup winners before, but never to a German World Cup winner. We today are speaking to one of the truly great right-footed players of the 1970s and 80s, Rainer Bonhof, who today is in a senior executive position at the club he loves, Borussia Mönchengladbach. But back when I was growing up watching football, Rainer was one of the most exciting, dynamic footballers in a Borussia Mönchengladbach side that was one of the best in the whole of Europe. I don't know, Rainer, whether to say Guten Morgen, Tschüss, or sehr vielen Dank für mit uns sprechen.
Seems that you have lived a long time in Germany because the stupid words you get already. So you have to come across and I teach you more.
Unmöglich. Then thank you. You're a kind and generous man. Rainer, when I grew up watching you, I grew up feeling that German club teams and the Mannschaft almost literally could not be beaten. Before we begin to speak about some of the things that made your Borussia Mönchengladbach great, try to sum up for me what it is about in the football personality of German coaches, German players, German fans, that never mind now so much, but certainly in the 70s and 80s, meant that however a season was going, however a competition was going, however a match was going, you all seem to have this elite mentality about we are never beaten. How did that happen? What does it come from?
Yeah, that is a very complicated question. The point in my understanding in that time means I became professional football player in 1970 in Borussia Mönchengladbach, which is still my love. There was a couple of players. They had a spirit for no losing. That means they couldn't accept a loss. So, and I grew up in this mentality. So we had at this time, if you say that comparing to today, we had just 17 players in the squad. Yeah. So and all the team, including the two managers. They went always in trainings facilities. They spent the whole week together. So we know each other far better, and we know each other what happens in the families, and so on. We had more and more a friendship in between everybody, and that supported the winning mentality a lot. So, and that is maybe one of the keys. Overall, maybe there was a very tough and father-like manager like Hennes Weisweiler at this time. And he asked every day as much as possible you can do in the training sessions. And later on, he catched you and hugged you and said, "You are my best." You know, this in between makes you feel I have to do the things far better than anybody else, just to give him something back for that what he spent for you.
Was there, and please tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm talking rubbish, but around 1970, as you come to the first time I see you play, which is against my beloved team, Aberdeen at Pittodrie, across two crazy ties in what is now the Europa League. In German society, when at Borussia Mönchengladbach you were tight, you were friendly, Hennes was a coach who demanded a lot, was there also, I genuinely want to know, was there a feeling of rebuilding, of energy, of achievement, or not? Am I imagining that? But it feels, when I looked at West Germany from Scotland in the 70s, it did feel that there was a dynamism, that there was a societal push, and that you were part of that.
Yeah, there was suddenly something in the back which gave us the mentality to win. So I remember for example, we had a great match in Ibrox versus Rangers with Borussia. So there was a battle, and in between Scottish teams and German teams, there was always a rivalry. And so we made an absolute brilliant performance in Ibrox, and we went home with a win in the pocket. So and that was what was implanted of the manager in everybody of the team to say, hey, first of all, you have to do the things proper. But don't think in losing, think in winning. So, and today, or comparing to today, sometimes there's somebody, opponent, you would say, he's unbeatable for us. So, but we was teached no thinking in losing. We was teached in winning. And maybe that was a percentage in our heart, in our mind, that makes us, for the other ones, unbeatable. So we had absolutely brilliant performances with Borussia Mönchengladbach in the 70s. So Real Madrid, Inter Milan, Rangers. I don't know. So many more matches. We just won about the mentality we got.
Rainer, I'll read you out, if it's okay, the team, the 11 men that played at Pittodrie in September 1972 against the team I love, the club I love. In goal there was Wolfgang Cleff, then Berti Vogts, Schmel Rosenthal, Heinz Michalik, Herbert Wimmer, Günter Netzer, Christian Kulik, Rainer Bonhof, Bernd Rupp, Henning Jensen, Jupp Heynckes, and the manager was Hennes Weisweiler. How privileged were you, that was 2 years into your professional career, to come into a team with Cleff and Netzer and Jensen and Jupp Heynckes, but maybe particularly Berti Vogts? Let's stop and talk about 2 or 3 of the guys in your team, because they stretch over several years. It isn't just in 1972. Can we start with Berti Vogts? On the 50th anniversary of UEFA, I had a big interview with Johan Cruyff, maybe an hour. This was in 2004. And I said to him a simple question right now. I said, who was your most difficult opponent? Berti Vogts. I said, why? He said, because you beat him once, you beat him twice, and there he is at your ankles again, tearing away. Describe your friend and the guy you often played in front of, Berti Vogts, in that era.
This is something special because we share the rooms together 8 years. So that means I know far more that I would like to present you now, you know. It's a little bit difficult, so I have to think about. No, Berti Vogts, for example, was or is still one of my friends. So that means at this time he was more or less obliged to pick up a youngster on his hand because he was already taken of the manager the mentality of winning. So the manager, he maybe saw in my person a future man who can make the same mentality as the other did or got. And that was the point that we start to be friends, not even for a match. So we spent also days and holidays together. We went out for dinner. We went to his grandma, to friends of mine. So, so we drove the same cars more or less. You know, that was funny. But Berti Vogts was just a man who was the main voice of the manager, Hennes Weisweiler, including Günter Netzer in the first 3 years. Then Günter went to Real Madrid. But the key for Borussia Mönchengladbach was, of course, an undoubtable Berti Vogts, because he presented in the field every day in the trainings matches. The mentality of that was, he was implanted by Hennes Weisweiler 7 years ago. Before. So, and that was he trained like he played. So, and that was what makes him special for like a footballer, and also what makes big stars in the 70s like Cruyff or Beckenbauer, Gerd Müller, or wherever he played against, they hated him. So, and that was good for us because when we went somewhere in Europe, and they saw the lineups, and Berti Vogts was mentioned in the lineup. So they hated already Borussia Mönchengladbach because Berti Vogts was there.
Rainer, describe why, because you played with him, you know him, he's your friend. I grew up watching him, but many people who listen to us, maybe they never saw him play. From a football man, as you are, describe Berti Vogts the footballer, and why did opponents hate him?
No, the Berti was very tough against himself. He was defender, to describe the person Berti Vogts or the footballer Berti Vogts. He was a defender with a huge heart for winning. And overall, as I mentioned, he trained as he played. So, and by the way, he was getting a very, very good technique. There was sometimes they said he was just a nickname was here in Germany Terrier. You know, the dog which is always fighting on the street and so, and biting the opponents. So and that was his nickname. But he was a huge-hearted human with absolutely brilliant skills for the position he used to have in Borussia Mönchengladbach. And then, as a person, he was an absolutely brilliant human for the team, for the club, for himself, and for me as friend. So, and that was Berti Vogts. And when he entered the park, everybody was shouting his name, and he was loved in Borussia Mönchengladbach.
We have lots of people, Rainer, who've supported us from the beginning of our 6 years doing this. We call them socios. It's like members. And one of them is a guy called Peter Gordon. And Peter Gordon has sent you this question. And Peter loves... We've got two great questions for you, I promise. Peter says, when Günter Netzer burst onto the German scene, he was a standout footballer, a flair player, a player that many people thought was not typically German because he wasn't necessarily so organised. Peter wants you to tell us how do you evaluate Günter Netzer? Because Peter says, I loved watching him because he brought electricity to the game every time he got on the ball.
I couldn't better explain as Peter did. So Günter Netzer is even today my friend, even he lives in Switzerland and I here in Mönchengladbach. But Günter is also one of these decade players which was playing with a huge heart for Borussia Mönchengladbach, but he was far in advance living. So he had long hair, which was okay. We drove, as I said, a Ford or a Vauxhall or whatever, and he came across with a Ferrari. So they was far away from everything, you know. And his standard was also that he mentioned once to the manager Weisweiler, hey, chef, before you notices from the press, but I will open tomorrow a discotheque. So, and that like a footballer. So he was away from everything, but he was on the pitch. He was the brain of the team. So, and that was what he said first to me, Rainer, just in the early beginning when I became profi by Borussia Mönchengladbach. He said then, if you not know what to do with the ball, give it to me. So, and that was Günter Netzer. So he was always able to handle the situation. He was quick. He was left, right-footed. He was the king of the free kicks. He was the king of deliveries. And to be honest, he was special, but he was a huge-hearted and still is a huge-hearted man or human, which everybody in the world would like to have him like a friend.
Rainer, because we're so new to each other, although I adore you, I always have done, I can't say yet that we're friends. So I feel really bad that I have to argue with you. You just called Günter Netzer king of the free kicks. Anybody who saw you play knows that, in all honesty, there has to be 2 crowns at least. Because taking free kicks, I don't know if that was something that you were good at before you became a profi in 1970, whether it developed with full-time training, but you're not only how well you hit the ball, but how cleverly. There's one famous goal against Hamburg where you line up to take the ball from your right foot as if you'll curl it this way, and you hit the outside of your boot and you put it into the keeper's right-hand corner. But there's so many times your free kicks are, truly special.
Yeah, to be honest, there was 3 years for me as a teacher was Günter Netzer, because he showed in the training session, even in the matches, how to handle a ball if you have a free kick or you have a corner kick or a good delivery. So, and that makes things like me, who was keen to learn everything and to pick up everything what makes you better, what makes you feel better, what makes your performance, your skills better. And I took everything what Günter did. So, for example, he did that what I did later on as well. So after the training, he stayed on the pitch. He tried corner kicks. He tried, free kicks. He asked colleagues to stay there to build a wall. And all these things makes me picking up the same. And I did it then later on. As he went to Madrid, so Weisweiler was looking to get a new man for free kicks and for the set pieces. So and that was for me an idea to say to Weisweiler, hey, let me try it. But I did it on a different way. I did it with my power I have. And so on the far way, my colleagues, they had to understand my delivery is a little bit different as Günter did. Günter was chipping the ball very often, and I was chipping the ball, but with speed. So, and that was it needs a little bit more concentration for the strikers to pick up my deliveries. So, but however, that was then also for me. An idea to say to the manager, Weisweiler, let me try it with the corner kicks, let me try it with the free kicks, and then later on, do you remember my free kicks? It was a little bit different than the free kicks of Günter Netzer.
What did you practice, the two of you? Because detail is important to us. Which types of things did those extra training sessions help you change? Where you put your left foot, which part of your right foot you used to strike? Give us some details.
All these things. If you see a billiard player who knows exactly where to have give the ball the effect. So, and that was my idea to look how I stand to the ball, which part of my right foot hits the ball, which effect could I get the ball. In several positions, so the upper body a little bit in the back, upper body a little bit above the ball, and all these things that was needed to find out for myself, because you have always in the matches a wall of 5, a wall of 4, a wall of 3. You see the goalkeeper or you see him not because so many people in the wall. Or you have a space on the left-hand side of the wall, on the first post, and all these things. So, and that was my idea to understand, how the ball reacts, when I hit him on this side, when I hit him on this side, and how can I control the gap the opponents give me in the free kick. So. Maybe do you remember the free kick in an international match against former Czechoslovakia? So I hit him in the angle because the wall was too far left-hand side. So I had so many spaces, and that what you have to try in training sessions. How much effect I have to give the ball to turn it to the right or with a outside of your feet to give him the effect to go on the left hand side in the goal. All these things that was for me important to know, and then to pick up the best idea in the free kick situation.
Tell us a little bit about the actual ball.
Yeah, there was rubbish. Today there's plastic. We had 1 kilo on our feet, you know. The people of today, they don't know what we had to do or what we did in the past, because there was no underneath heating. We played rain, snow, just using another ball. The balls was full leather balls. When it was rain, there was 1 kilo heavy the ball. So today it's always the same. But that makes things, of course, also a little bit different for the players, that you have an understanding. If you remember the match we played in the World Cup '74, when the heavy rain came with a Polish team. And then we mentioned, just in the dressing room, we said each other, so we have to play not on the floor, we have to play half level, you know. So, and then we performed a very, very good match because the Polish men, they just was passing on the floor and the ball stopped every time, and we got then the ball for making a break. But that was the understanding. We played in grounds which was heavy, which was in the summertime brilliant, in the wintertime full of snow, with red balls, with green balls, whatever. But we was a little bit, the variety of our style to play was a little bit different to today. Because the circumstances at this time, today the circumstances in the stadium are always the same, winter like summer. Just the same as a little bit colder or warmer. That's it.
How many free kicks would you score if you were playing today?
Oh, I don't know. Of course, there's suddenly an idea if you see the full level size shoes we used to have. And today the shoes, they have just 90 grams each of them. And the ball is the same weight, but full plastic. So that means the fly curve of the ball is different than in the past. So of course I would train it as well, and maybe I had a success as well. It can happen, so maybe.
You're very modest. You're very modest. I'm glad you mentioned the 1974 World Cup. There are a couple of things that I'd like you to explain to us. The first is more social, because your big breakthrough was against Sweden. Then, of course, as you say, you play Poland in what is effectively a semi-final, and you win the World Cup against Holland. You're a relatively young footballer. The World Cup is being held in Germany. The feeling, even though you're in a training camp, the feeling of the stress, the defeat to East Germany, the pressure on you, the potential joy for winning it if you can do it, in those weeks leading up to the Olympic Stadium in Munich, try and describe the feeling that was going on around you, your family, your friends, the country, and if you had to try and push that feeling away.
Yeah, this feeling I picked up far later after the World Cup, because there was no communication possible in between the families at home. You had just one free call. There was no mobiles, it was no satellite, and so there was just 7 press people and 2 teams of TV stations every day with us. But I had then the possibility to have 15 minutes talk with my girlfriend at this time. Now it's my wife, of course, but with my girlfriend of this time in the evening. So, and then you have to arrange on the same phone for the next day, the same hour, you know, and then there was kings in the squad, like Beckenbauer, they phone longer, and then you missed the telephone for 10 minutes or like this, and then she was gone, or she went out with friends, you know. There was very complicated at this time, but it was also complicated to be part of the team, because the World Cup team of 74, there was already made in 72 when they won the European Championship. So there was 9 players, there was fixed, and there was 2 more players, they had to fight for it. So, and then the former international manager, Mr. Schön, he was the same type like Hennes Weisweiler. He was also fulfilled from winning mentality, but also a familiar man. So he liked to have everything around him runs well, you know, without big or huge problems. So, and that happens a long time in the World Cup. So we had the first 2 wins or 3 wins. 2 wins versus Chile in the first match, and then the win against Australia in the group stage, and then it became the match of the former DDR. you have to know that Mr. Schön was born in the DDR and he grew up in Dresden as well. So it was a big blame and shame for him to lose against his former teammates, you know. So from the outside, he became some pressure. I would say today, saying pressure, but the critics, there was on the papers, there was in the news and all these things. And then he started to rebuild a group of 4 or 5 new players in the team to make things change and show the people as well, hey, there's somebody, he wants to change something. So, and in these 5 people who became in the second group stage, at this time the World Cup was not playing in shootout matches. There was 2 groups, and so we picked up the European group with Sweden, Yugoslavia, and Poland. So in the DDR, they got the Brazil, Argentina, and Netherlands. So that was the toughest group to play with. So, and we know each other. We had friendly before the match, for the World Cup, against the 3 other group opponents. So, but by the way, it was then the time to introduce the new players. They have the chance to play versus Yugoslavia. That was the first match in the second group stage. So, and that is a funny thing. We was already 5 weeks in concentration in the training camp, and then the day before the match, it was Tuesday, and Mr. Schön came to me after the training and said, "Rainer, what do you think? Are you able to play tomorrow in the match against Yugoslavia?" And I said, "Mr. Schön, look, I'm 5 weeks here, and I'm still here to play football, you know, and now you asking me, are you able to play tomorrow?" So he was laughing, and then he said to me, "You will play tomorrow." So, and then I had then the chance by telephone to phone up my parents at home and tell them, "Hey, tomorrow in the World Cup, I have the first match, and I try my very best to be then also the next 4 matches." We spoke in the team as well that we want to have the World Cup. So that was unbelievable for us, and everybody was focused to reach this target. So, and then I played versus Yugoslavia, and then, as you said, my first World Cup goal versus Sweden, the billiard goal hitting 2 posts and went in. So, and then that was the funny thing in the World Cup. And this group, I'm still very close friend with the Bernd Kuhlmann, who fulfilled my position in the first 4 matches. Very close. I played later on with him in Cologne, and we shared the room together in the training camps. So that means there are still friendships in between this group. So even one of them living in the Arabs, the other one is living in south of Africa. So, but always you got the numbers, and you have not in regulation contact, but once in a while you have to under contact. So, and that makes things so great.
It explains a little bit about the feeling, the unity that brought you through to win the tournament. I know how beautiful it must have felt to get your first goal in the rain against Hellström, a great keeper for Sweden. The joy, fantastic. Also, the billiard goal, you mean, is that it hits both posts. So until it goes in, your heart is like this.
I was on the right side of the field. There was a combination, and then the delivery came in. I'm thinking Uli Hoeneß made the delivery. I don't know. Exactly after such a long period. And then Gerd Müller, he dropped the ball off his chest, and I came from behind and just hit the ball. So, and then there was a wet ground, and the ball was fast. And then he went to the left post and then to the right post, and you can see in the slow-mo that the goalkeeper was watching there, and then he was watching there, and the goal was in. So, and at this moment, you see that, if you see the matches, I don't know, you can see it on YouTube or whatever, I lifted my right hand to celebrate the goal, and you see the proud in my eyes. I made it, you know. So that is a special moment for everybody. Making a World Cup, making the first match in the World Cup, and then hitting the goal, or it was the second match, but then hitting the goal, and which was an important goal. It was a 2-1 for the later winner against Sweden. But so that makes you then proud, and you have then in your mind the manager will use you as well in the next match. So, and then it was clear that Rainer Bonhof was playing the next matches.
I really liked the day of the final. I was sitting at home in Aberdeen watching, and I was maybe, I don't know, 11 years old. And I remember when I really was taken by Johan Cruyff. Today, he's still my number one idol in the whole of football for every reason. Cruyff is kind of the leader of a football which I've never seen before in my life then. He makes his run across the pitch and Berti makes the penalty. And I remember I turned to my parents who were watching with me and I was like, even great teams don't come back from being 1-0 down so early. So much I knew about football. The penalty equalises things, but before half-time, the killer blow comes. And the Dutch say that they were foolish in their approach to the game. They now talk about, because it's Germany, they want to play a great game and show off, and they think they lost some focus. But I love the goal in that it builds right from the back for Germany, the 2-1 goal, the Gerd Müller goal. It builds from the back. And when the ball comes, I think it's probably Uli Hoeneß that gives it to Jürgen Grabowski again. Grabowski is the winger, theoretically, but he's so deep. He's so deep. And you make this run. You explode like a rocket. And it's a beautiful run. It's the kind of run that Guardiola likes to see his inside full-backs or his right halves make now. And you disappear into the right-wing channel and Grabowski gives you the ball. How much do you remember of the moment or the daring or the thought process? Because you were playing as if it was minute 28, not minute 43. Halftime is coming. You can choose to play safe, but no. Up, advance, aggression, ambition.
Yeah, to explain this situation, we have to start in the early beginning of the match because, as I said, the Dutch, they had the early penalty. So the other kind was that they started after the penalty, demonstrate football. With a distance from today, I would say, at this time, the Dutch was the best team in the World Cup, playing football at an extraordinary level. That was like this. So, and the other point is, in my understanding and my feeling after all these years, when they was after the penalty showing us the capacity they had in playing football, in passing, one touch, two touch, and that is not good for a German team. That the opponents give you a lesson that is not really good for the German mentality. So, and then we started watching each other, and I said at this time to Wolfgang Overath, "Hey, that is impossible. We have to fight now. That is not." Germany, so we have to go and fight them down. So and then it became this situation when Grabowski was in trouble on the right side, and I saw he was only got an option to give the pass in the right wing area, and there was nobody except Krol. And I went in and I said, whatever happens, but Grabowski is in trouble. He had only this chance to pass along the line and give me the ball. So and then Krol came in and I made my stupid trick. And
No, not stupid trick. Stop there, Rainer, stop. Did you know you were in the penalty area? Because you look as if you know that he can't tackle you, but you make him look like a statue.
No, the point was I saw two German dresses in the box in front of the goal. And later on, I saw that was Gerd Müller, and the other one was Uli Hoeneß. He was a little bit behind him. So, and I was just focused on bring the ball to the two shirts. Yeah, so and then I make my trick and then pass the ball inside. And I had to pass him very, very fast because there was Surbia or somebody else was in the middle. He could, if I not passed the ball as fast as I did, so he could cross and pick up the ball. So, and even Gerd Müller was the only person able to catch this ball in the second chance and made the goal. So, and that was funny, but it was for me, part of the goal was today you would say assist. I have made the other assist as well for Gerd Müller's goal in the match against Poland. There was my chance to make the World Cup in '74 to my World Cup. So, and that was happens as well, that the crowd in the stadium, they had banners with we know Bonhof, who's Cruyff, and all these things, you know. That was funny for me. And now I tell you a secret. 4 years before I became the German nationality, my former Dutchman. That was funny. Yeah. That is what everybody said. How is it possible that he played for Germany and he was 4 years before a Dutchman? I grew up in a very comfortable city, Emmerich, on the River Inn.
On the Rhine.
On the Rhine, yeah. So, and in this area was always happens that you had love parents. They love each other from the Dutch side to the German side. So, and my grandpa, he was in love to a German girl in Emmerich, but he was Dutch. So, and at this time there was always the law that the whole family has to pick up the nationality of the father. So, and I grew up, my father was Dutch as well, because his my grandpa. And so, and then I became Dutch as well, but I was feeling like a German. I grew up in Germany, so I spoke a little bit Dutch, what I do today as well. But the key of everything was that I was picked up by the national coach of Germany for the under-18 team. And we played a match in 1969 or so in Netherlands, against Netherlands. And I had to show my passport. So there was a black passport said he is Dutch. So, but the Dutch manager, he knows that as well, because they had also Germans which was living in the Dutch side. So, and then the manager of the under-18 team said to me, you have to be German, so, but very quick. So, and then I did it in 1969. I made my asking to the government, so, and then became the German nationality in March 70. So, and then 4 years later, I am former Dutch, playing in a World Cup final versus the Dutch and winning the team and win the match and be a World Cup winner. So that was funny. Yeah.
I have to ask this delicately, Rainer. Was your grandfather still alive in '74?
No. My grandfather was passed away 10 years before I grew up because the war. And my dad, he was still alive, and we had a great time, a couple of good days when I came after the World Cup home, and the whole city was celebrating the World Cup winner Rainer Bonhof in Emmerich. And I said to my dad, let's go in the living room and have a drink together. So, and we didn't... went out. My ma came in and said, "What's up?" And we said, "Everything is fine." So, yeah, it was good. It was a good moment. Yeah.
I've got one question to ask you from our sponsors, but before we do, because you're so generous, describe the trophy. How beautiful was that trophy? When you first get your hands on it, it's a gorgeous thing, right?
Yeah, it is not describable because that is your own feeling. So we had in 1974 the first time this trophy, because the World Cups before was this jewelry makeup, the smaller one, which was then won by the Brazilians because they had won them 3 times. So, and then the new World Cup came out. So, and that is then 8 kilos. And after a match like this, you are just able to lift it for making the picture, and then once in a round of honor, lift him again, and then it's good. So, but by the far end, when it was handed over from my teammate, which picked up before me, I think so, Gerd Schwarzenbeck was in front of me. There's something special. There turns something in your heart, in your mind. Even you're not aware that you have won the trophy because you are too tired to imagine what the whole world knows you now and all these things. That became reality 4, 6, 7 weeks later. So when you all these things was on paper, my mother collected all the paper stories, and then you reading that, and then you are, hey, you are world champion. That's for your life. That's for the whole life.
You truly make it sound beautiful. You've described it beautifully. I honestly can feel the emotion too. We're lucky in this because we've been successful. We have sponsors, and Bet365 want me to ask you. As we speak right now, Robert Lewandowski is only a few goals away from breaking Gerd Müller's Bundesliga record of 40 goals in one season. You played with Gerd many times. I know he retired from the Mannschaft after 74, but you played against him and you played with him many times. How does Lewandowski compare to Gerd? Because it's obvious that he's playing on nicer pitches, different footballs. Physically, he's a different man from Gerd. But if you make, I don't mean better worst, because better worst often is a stupid way to look at football. If you compare Lewandowski and Gerd Müller, what do you see for better, for worse, for positive, for negative?
Comparing the two types of players is not possible, because Lewandowski is taller man, is got more muscles. Gerd Müller was a small man with skills which was unbelievable at this time. So he had 90 centimeters the upper leg, so that was just muscles, and you could hit him or you could push him away. That's the same what happens with Lewandowski. That what Lewandowski had now is he knows I'm hit it every match. Yesterday I saw a couple of scenes in the television, so he was hit by the opponents. That you say he has to give up, but he never gives up. So, and then he made the equalizer in the last 10 minutes. So, and Gerd Müller was one of the men who was timid. He was living his own life, but on the pitch he was Gerd Müller, unbelievable. View where the ball can drop, where the ball comes to. He was an absolutely brilliant header. Remember the goal he made with a back head in the World Cup in Mexico in '70. So all these things was Gerd Müller. But Gerd Müller was also a very family man, which made the whole staff and the whole colleagues and teammates at this time, there was very, very good with the families. So, and Gerd was, as a footballer, unbelievable, and everybody said, I don't like to play against him, because you never know what he's doing. He was quick the first 5-6 meters, so he had his feet everywhere, they can be, but he was there. And he was no scary. He played everybody. So, and then Lewandowski is the same, but Lewandowski is more athlete, more perfect today's player. So he lives every day in a diet. He does everything. So we had one physio. Today they have 25. You know, each of them they have one. Then they have somebody who teach them what they have to eat and what to. So we was chips and steaks. You know, that was funny. So but it works proper as well. And Gerd Müller was one of these types. He got his skills. He got a lot of muscles for these times, but not an athlete like Lewandowski. So that makes maybe the difference.
It's a clear answer, and it's a great answer, because the difference in the two men physically could have meant it was difficult to describe, but you've made Gerd Müller, the footballer, come alive. And I remember all the things you've described, but also his balance. He had this incredible balance and timing. Even though it might sound like a stupid word, he was like a ballet dancer in that every movement was so powerful. And you said he played with no fear. Everybody feared him. If I turned on a match and one of the teams I cared about was playing against Gerd Müller, you're just like, okay, I'm going to sit back. I'm going to wait until Gerd Müller scores the winning goal.
If you see his international record, so he made 64 matches and 68 goals. So that is unbeatable. So and now you have the time that Lewandowski maybe equalized his record in the Bundesliga with 40 goals. But imagine that you have just in one competition like the Bundesliga, making at this time 40 goals. So that is 50 years ago. And if you have a record which is held 50 years, so that means that it's unbelievable good. So and today Lewandowski is a different type of player, a different time of football, but he got today's unbelievable skills who needs a goal-getter to have. And at this time Gerd Müller was the same, similar, but in the 70s. And that makes, for me, of course, comparing to today, maybe the record of Gerd Müller doesn't matter. Lewandowski will equalize them or will better, but the record will be, in my time, or in my opinion, more worse than today's, because the circumstances was worse.
We have a question sent in by another of our members. His name is Derek Johnson, but it's not the Derek Johnson you played against at Ibrox for Rangers. But Derek asks a really good question. You know that you're still very much loved and respected in Scotland. And Derek says, here's a coaching question for Herr Bonhof. Many of the footballers that you worked with in Scotland talk brilliantly about your practice sessions, your training sessions. So Derek asks, what are the three main thought processes you have when you plan a training session? And Derek says, Danke im Voraus.
Yeah, bitte, Derek, I will answer. No, the point is that I became under 21 manager because Berti and David Taylor, at this time he was the CEO of the FA, they went to Kuwait where I was manager. So, and then I had the opportunity to play in Troon, the first time a gathering with the team. And to be honest, it was not the nicest weather. As you know, in Troon, sometimes the wind is blowing a little bit. And at this time, it was not blowing a little bit, it was blowing. So, and then I had 35 players. And we played each other in a 10 against 10 session. And so I make a break after 20 minutes. And at this time, Brian Kerr and Gus Colwell, he came to Gary Colwell. He came to me and said, for what reason is the break? I said, gents, I have a problem because I need an aspirin. And Gary said to me, what means that? I said, we're playing football. And then said Gary, yeah, we're a football player. Yeah, I said, for what reason you are not playing football? You are just hitting the ball from the defense far in front, and then the midfielder, they're just walking and watching like this. I said, use the ground. So, and then I start preparing myself, making a training session, which was not allowed to play a long ball. I was just finding out solutions to make the team playing on the floor with passing and moving themselves and making situations easier to handle if you are under pressure. So, and that makes maybe for the players the understanding what I brought into the Scottish football a little bit different. So, but it was for me important, for myself as well, important to say I'm a football player and let's play football. And then we started, and everybody was, and that was the good part of these boys, that they had the same understanding about football. They wanted to change something. They wanted not be animated to hit the ball away, sondern trying out, finding solutions in passing and so. And then I had a couple of good players in this squad, which was understanding. Michael Stewart, later on was Dan Fletcher, which was even the other players which came from Sunderland. Gary Caldwell was from Newcastle. Brian Kerr came from Newcastle. They was able to play football, but they came to the under-21 squad, and they was used to have the balls long. So, and then I started to have a chat with the groups, means with the strikers, with the midfielders, with the defenders, what they had to do. And I prepare myself always to give them chances to create themselves to be better footballer in passing instead in hitting the ball.
Two guys who understood that easily. I spoke to both of them this week. Sean Maloney is one from Aberdeen, like me. He's now assistant coach at Belgium, the number one ranked. Sean's a great guy, a bright mind. He's one of the guests on our series here. And Darren Fletcher, who is a close friend and I admire a lot, he's now technical director of Manchester United. Did you see, when you met these two guys, as much as their football ability, I know they were young, but what kind of people did you meet when you met these two guys for the first time?
The point was that you have a guy in your hands and you see him playing on the training field, and you know in a minute of two they are great skills. They are great hearts playing, and they are absolutely understanding footballers. They know what they do or have to do in the field to win a match. So that what happens with Darren Fletcher, Sean Maloney, Gary Caldwell, Brian Kerr, and John Kennedy, who was injured later on with the A squad. All these guys, I had Alan McGregor like a substitute in the goal, because he was injured the first match we made, and Derek Suter was the goalkeeper. He was from Alloa, I think so, which was the first or the leader in the second division at this time. So, however, all these guys and boys, they was in the field, and you see in 10 minutes minimum or at latest, you see then they have skills. They are different than anybody else got. So, and that I gave them the opportunity to play a couple of matches with the under-21s. And then Berti came and said, give me James McFadden, give me Darren Fletcher, give me Sean Maloney, give me John Kennedy. So, but that was part of my job. And what good is us today, until today, is the situation that I still receive phone calls, messages from all these boys. And that makes you as a former manager a little bit proud that you have done more or less a good job. Yeah?
Not more or less, a good job. And I think you are working with good men also, because they stand out for their football values, and it's no surprise to me that each of them has...
This is the key for everybody. You have, as a manager, you have ideas, but you need boys as well. They fulfill your ideas. So, and that makes then the whole thing like a ball, like running around and in the right way. So, but you have to pick up the boys and put them in positions which makes them value for the team and for yourself as well to be successful. So, but a manager always need the players, and the players need a manager to have instructions what they should do on the field against several opponents.
We have to close because we will be efficient and we will be honest, and we're running. I could speak to you for 3 hours more, but I know we didn't ask for that. So I have to close with two difficult questions. The first one is from our sponsors, 365. They say, how do you rate Joachim Löw amongst Germany's great coaches, and who would you pick to replace him after the European Championship? So your appreciation of Jogi Löw, and who might be the ideal guy to look after the Mannschaft when he moves on?
This is a very difficult question because we have so many good managers in the moment in Germany, and they do also a very good job. So the press is talking about Klopp. Klopp said, no, I will fulfill my job in Liverpool. We have other team managers like Hansi Flick in Bayern Munich. Rummenigge said, no. But the key of everything is that we have very excellent and wonderful players. You have seen that yesterday, maybe in the match against Iceland. We have wonderful players. They are able to beat everybody in the world. And they need somebody who gives them the instructions how to win, and somebody who helps them as well beside the football field. So, and there's a couple of good managers in Germany, but also a good managers which working away from Germany, but they are under contract, so that means they are not able to pick up the management of the national squad. So I think Tuchel is one of them. Klopp could do it, Hansi Flick could do it. So there's several other names from team managers in Germany. They are also able to handle this situation.
It's an important decision. I hope that the National Association gets it right. Now, Rainer, you can see across the screen a little twinkle in my eye, and I'm Scottish, so you wouldn't be surprised of me asking this, but I have to be very careful because I'm not looking for a news story. But if I said to you, as a brilliant right midfielder in your time, how much did you admire the career of Xabi Alonso when he was playing for Liverpool and Spain and Real Madrid and Bayern Munich?
I would say he was one of the greatest midfielder in my same position. But that's it. I know what you wanted to hear, but that's it. So I'm just have the chance to talk about the player Xabi Alonso, and that's it.
Exactly, genau. Then Rainer Bonhof, we wish massive success to Borussia Mönchengladbach, the club that you love. They dominated the 70s. It was joyful to see them go through into the knockout stages of the Champions League. I hope that very soon, next season, the following season, we see them winning shootout matches, knockout ties in the Champions League, with young Thuram running past everybody. I wish you huge good luck. It's been an honour and lots of fun to speak to you. You were a fantastic football man, from player through executive coach, and it's been an honour to speak to you. Thank you for making it so much fun and joining the big interview.
You are always welcome. You see in the back the pictures of Borussia Mönchengladbach Stadium. Once COVID is away, give me a ring. You're always welcome here in the park.
It's a promise, and we will come. Thank you very much. And we will come with some nice Scottish whiskey. Rainer Bonhof, sehr vielen Dank.
See you later.